just one little package. I think this is right. One, two, three. Could be right. Maybe double check the shipping thing. Yeah, just 3 things. So it's a small week. Not necessarily a bad one. First, we've got Knowing the Complete Series, Blu-ray DVD collection. Even pop stars can't resist a big cucumber. Okay. Huh. I guess, let's see. Region A. Looks like it's dubbed. This is a Funimation release, so we would expect that. But we have to check because we've had some that weren't. I guess I was just noticing the pop star thing because the anime I started watching. I'll mention that later. For now, this is DVD 2, so these are the DVDs. There's Blu-ray 1 and Blu-ray 2. And of course, women in the background are wearing a bit less than they are on the outside of this. Oh, she's wearing a summer outfit. It's different. It's different than that. Next up, we've got the Blu-ray version of Kano. The DVD version came out a long time ago, I think. Sometime last year. That'd have even been like... felt like maybe it was December. Which is only a couple months ago, which isn't that long ago. I guess that's the real problem, is my perception of time is weird. I think everybody gets weird as they get older. So, things that I think happened a long time ago, or more recently, end up happening longer ago than I remember. So when I remember something happening recently, I kind of think of it as happening more closely as overcompensation. Last but not least, we have Tokyo ESP, which I do believe I saw an advertisement on one of the DVD samples. So yeah, that one. Oh look, this one's region A and B. And of course, English dub. Yeah, this would be why we check, because sometimes Funimation does release things like this. There it is. Because there had to be some piece of glue holding this on. I need to find it so I can toss it. So this, of course, doesn't have that on it. It might have the information elsewhere. Let's see it. So let's see. Episodes 1 through 12, the complete series. This is DVD. All this artwork is on the side apparently, so it's a little disorienting. Artwork on the discs is pretty straightforward. Is that an invertible cover? I don't think so. Could be. I don't think so. Let's see. I guess we want to do this. Do this. Straightforward enough. And in there, more art. Well, I think that's it for this week. It's a small week, but we've had some pretty good weeks before this. But yeah, here, this week's anime DVD collection update. So, first up, I watched the second disc of Nara Shipping DVD set 25 finally with my friend. It was okay. I mean, some of it was... I don't think it was as bad as the first disc. Not that the first disc was intolerable or horrible. It's the same sort of thing where there's neat ideas in there, but... a lot of it is either overdone or retread ground. I think a lot of that is trying to delay, and I think they could have done some of these delays better, because at the end of this, it finally started getting relevant again. And I kind of felt like you know, as awesome as that relevance was happening, they could have maybe spaced what happened in the course of that episode out over the episodes, and probably reduced some of the fillerish stuff in there from interesting idea but weird execution, and I don't know if this is exciting versus, okay, well, this isn't a bunch of stuff all at once, but it's interesting. Maybe there was an element of that where they needed to budget or something, I don't know. But it got to an interesting point by the end of the DVD, of course. And, you know, I mean, like, the very last episode, I was pretty much expecting as much, because that's the way it works. That interesting episode happens, and it's like, okay, time to wait for the next DVD set. And so, time to wait for the next DVD set. Next up, I decided to watch A Kami Ga Kill. This is, of course, only the first half of it. I guess what was going on there was, I think last week I might have mentioned that I was going to start Pokemon. I wanted to put something on in the background that was interesting, but definitely dubbed so that I could be playing a video game at the same time, because Dragon Warrior 7 obviously had to interrupt anime watching because it happened on the TV, PlayStation 1 game, and I don't know, lots and lots of text, so kind of hard to focus on two things at once. So I chose A Kami Ga Kill, and it was kind of interesting. I mean, that night little things kept happening where, like, oh, I forgot I need to do this, and that's blah blah blah. And, you know, this is how I shortchanged myself. Sleep is like, I was going to watch at least the first episode of this before going to bed, and I realized I'd actually watched that first episode before with the Austin Anime Meetup group when I went there that one time and saw a bunch of first episodes. Which basically meant I had to go on to the second episode to start seeing where it was going to go from there. It's been an entertaining show. I kind of have to remember what exactly happened, because there's been a lot of Pokemon and a couple other anime in between. But, you know, obviously it didn't finish because this is only the first half of it. Second half, I thought I saw it somewhere in the near future, but I'm trying to remember how far in the future. Main character. I've actually found him to be pretty enjoyable. I know that some people really hate this anime because of how it deviates from the manga, and being unaware of that, you know, I don't know if, like, the main character deviates from that. I get the impression probably not, but he's kind of fun because he's competent, but he's not necessarily the best person out there, and you kind of like, okay, he's kind of cool. And, you know, a lot of series just kind of have a main guy you just can't care about at all. You know, the idea is, oh, I don't care about him, I would just pretend that I'm the guy who's getting all this attention from the girls, and then that's how I enjoy the show. Maybe that's how people might think of stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's presumptuous to think that that's the way people would think about that as well, so it's all weird, but for whatever reason, it is more common to make a bland, uninteresting main character than one who's interesting and kind of develops and changes. I mean, if you've ever watched the first episode of this, you kind of know it's got to be that kind of anime. I mean, there's just some things you can see coming in advance that are like, yeah, that's an actual interesting twist. And I don't know. It's been entertaining. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about it, but I'm kind of drawing a blank. Looking forward to the second half, though. So, I decided to follow that up with Lord Marksman and Vanities. I guess the idea there was, because A Kami Ga Kill was not the complete thing, I kind of still felt in a kind of medieval-esque mood, I guess. This kind of seemed like it. You know, some of my subscribers seem to have a pretty good opinion about it, and I can see why. He's also an interesting main character, but he's also kind of bland personality-wise. It's weird because I'm not quite sure how much of this is shifting from A Kami Ga Kill to Lord Marksman versus, it feels like there's just a generic flaw with this, which isn't a serious killer. It's just something feels off about it. I know, like, it doesn't help that it's the sort of show where it talks about neighboring countries and whatnot, and I really have trouble keeping track of a lot of names, especially when they are, I'm pretty sure there's a weird one somewhere on the back here. The text is too small for me to try and find something for y'all. But, you know, I can't really remember most of the country names. It's kind of difficult enough to remember character names. You just run into so many names. I'm sure people who are interested in it probably can, but it's the sort of thing where usually shows tend to be more audience friendly, I guess, by making sure that there's other contextual clues you can use to figure out and to kind of learn these things as you go. And it felt like this anime maybe got a little lost in that. And I think part of that, if I were to guess, I'm guessing this is an anime made from a game, I'm guessing. I mean, it seemed like there was depth in the mechanics of how people fought and interacted that could be somebody trying to show off their otakuism knowledge about that sort of thing, or it could be that the original source was a bit more game-like. I guess supporting the game idea, since this is the complete series, we never saw her. It's like they establish the War Maidens, and we see some more than others. And that gives me the impression that there's more to the original source material than what was implemented in this anime, which makes me think that the original source was maybe a video game. But I don't know. I could probably have looked it up before recording this video, but I didn't. So, yeah, again, it was entertaining. He was a fun main character, even if he was I guess he felt like bland. And maybe this is just an extreme contrast where, unlike Akame Got Killed, he's ridiculously skilled, but a very serious, straightforward personality. Whereas Akame Got Killed had some good skill, but an actual fun, naive-ish personality, which, I don't know. That one was intentional. This one, I think it's intentional, but yeah, in any case, I think it was a good follow-up. Good to follow up after Akame Got Killed, just to keep in that medieval mindset. And then after that, I kind of had trouble deciding what I wanted to put on next. Again, I'm trying to stay dubbed because I'm playing Pokemon, which I'll talk about after the next cut. But I had a lot of trouble deciding. I decided on Love Live just because, you know, not too many NISA stuff comes out dubbed, and this one was a re-release of something. Oh, look. I think we were talking about this. It does say first season with English dub. Huh, interesting. Anyways, I think the dub's okay. I've only watched like 2 episodes. It's been entertaining so far. The main character has a lot of charisma to her, which makes it entertaining to watch. And they throw some quirky characters at you that are interesting. But I think they just have a good, strong lead character, and that's at least made it easy to start. But again, I'm only 2 episodes in, so I'll have to see what happens after that. And then there's an entire second season, so I don't know. And who knows how much of that is my own preferences versus something else. I don't know. But 2 episodes in, it's pretty good so far. Other than that, of course, I've been playing Pokemon Y version. Because I think I mentioned last week, if I didn't, I had a friend who was going to play a core Pokemon game for the first time. He mostly played side story stuff, and I think, or side game sort of stuff, and I think Pokemon Snap was an example, and I've never played that myself, but it's supposed to be pretty good. And Pokemon Colosseum, which has some concepts similar to a Pokemon game, but actually can't really compare with a core series game. So the idea was, if he was going to start and play an actual Pokemon game, it's like, it's been a couple years since I played it. In fact, more than, well, I think 2 years by couple, but it could have been 3, 4, I don't know. Because it was Pokemon Black and White when I started drifting, and Black and White 2, and it's like I didn't even end up finishing those games. But, you know, getting back into it on X and Y, of course, and those are 2 years old by this point, I think. early 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously I'm very far behind in that regard. So I've got Y, and my progress is okay. They clearly made the game easier. I've been also reading some of the mechanics changes, and some of the things, of course, they've made trickier because Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Surf, none of those, all their powers have been nerfed from 95 to 90, which I can understand. Adds a little interestingness to the game. And there's also a lot of little tweaks here and there. It's not all very alien, but it's a bit more alien to me than a lot of stuff. Especially Mega Evolution, which is something I'm like, I don't know how the mechanisms of this, and I have to evaluate whether or not I think that is actually a good addition, I guess. And I guess I'm still not sure, since I haven't reached the point where I'm playing with metagame stuff, and who knows if I'll actually do that, because right now the only people in my immediate peer group who are playing any 6th gen games, I think my brother fired it up a couple years ago when it came out. I never joined him, but you know, we got my friend and his mom, and let's face it, if I go killer, I could probably very easily make it a little more stressful for them than they would want it to be. So there's a good chance that metagame stuff I'll probably slow back down again, but it's fun to play. My progress is I've done 5 gym badges, and I've just gotten to the town where the 6th one will occur. Pokédex stuff. I've been playing a catch all the Pokemon sort of game. Even though there's probably the possibility I could purchase Pokemon Bank and then transfer stuff from older generations up and stuff. I don't know. You take a couple year break from Pokemon, and it's fun to recapture some of this stuff just because it's a completely new gen, it's a completely new game. You know, it's not like the stuff back then where I had a team of Pokemon that would train a Pokemon up for another game and then send it back, and then that game would just breeze through. That hasn't happened yet. So this one is completely fresh. It's completely isolated. It needs to do stuff on its own, and some of that includes completing its own Pokédex, which I'm not quite sure how thorough I intend to be. You know, a lot of this stuff gets played by ear, but I think I've seen 200 something, and I know it was like, it's probably at around 170, 180 Pokemon captured or something like that. So progress is going good in that regard. It helps that I built the team keeping in mind utilities. So I do have a Pangoro False Swipe, and Raichu with Thunder Wave, and a Roserade with Grass Whistle, which all helps capturing wild Pokemon even if you're overleveled. And speaking of overleveled, you know, I think I was mentioning that a lot of stuff is easier, and that seems to be one of those things where they made it where it seems to be easier to be overleveled for what you're supposed to be doing at that point in time. There's a lot of trainers you can find, a lot of money to get, a lot of money you can spend, especially since I'm playing the female trainer and it looks like she has more clothing options than the male one. But yeah, at least in terms of returning to the game, it's entertaining because it's, I guess I'm not looking for challenge per se from the game. I'm looking for probably just some, I mean, I'm Minecraft Starbound, Star Made, Dragon Warrior, so, you know, I guess I tend towards slightly more grindy stuff, and this one is a very refreshing, I guess, version of that stuff. Anyways, yeah, that's Pokemon. I don't think there's been anything else outside of Pokemon and the anime. So I'll go ahead and end my update there, and y'all have a nice week.